Say honestly, it took me about 3 years to really adapt to military life. I was always causing trouble in my young years of the military, 18 and 20, I would say.
The Dryhootch mission, helping veterans and their families who survived the war survive the peace.
Dryhootch is a place where veterans can gather informally in a coffee house, a safe, comfortable, drug, and alcohol-free environment. Dryhootch is a nonprofit organization formed by combat veterans to help veterans in their return home.
If you would like to know more about our nonprofit organization or to make a donation and make a difference in a veteran's life, please visit www.dryhootch.org.
Today is Thursday, April 4th, and I'm interviewing Kyle Karasty on behalf of the Dryhootch Project of America with the project name and research question of life experiences before and after the military. Hello, Kyle. How you doing today?
Oh, good. I'm doing great.
Can you start talking about the branch of service that you serve?
I did the Navy. I did 14 years active and 3 reserve duty.
What factors influenced your decision to enlist in the military?
I wanted to just, serve my country, I guess. Did it for the old classic reason. Funny, I picked the Navy because all the other recruiting offices were closed at the time that I went to go sign up, so that was it.
Can you tell me more about your experiences before joining the military?
Well, I was just a high school kid. I joined right out. I think I graduated in June and I was gone to boot camp by August. August 5th was my boot camp date. So I left right after high school. That's all I have for that.
All right, let's talk about your transitioning into military life. Can you share your experience, your journey in adjusting and transitioning from civilian life to military life?
Just going to boot camp and everything. How they, break your personal barriers down. You become self-sufficient and independent real quick. They don't need you. You don't need to, call mom and everything like that. So, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. That's all I really have to say about that, really.
What were some adjustments you had to make to fit into the military culture?
Well, definitely got to listen to the rules. You got to have somebody, there's a rank structure that you have to abide by. So that took me a while. I'd say, honestly, it took me about 3 years to really adapt to military life. I was always causing trouble in my young years of the military, 18 and 20, I would say. I didn't really, want to abide by all those rules. But then I kind of accepted the fate and stuck it out and became, good at it, I guess.
Thank you for sharing. Let's talk about your military experiences now, okay? Can you tell me about your impactful experiences during the military service, deployment, combat?
Well, I've had 7 total deployments in my active, 6 deployments while active, 1 deployment while in the reserves. Quote unquote combat tour will be the tour I did in Afghanistan from 2011 to 2012. I was in the Navy, but I was attached to a small Army unit. We did QRF missions and other missions that pretty much were just like doing whatever they needed, honestly.
Tell me more about your deployments. You mentioned you had 6 deployments in the Navy.
Yeah, so one of them was that Afghan one. I did a Syria deployment. A couple of Westpacks for, the Navy. We cruise around, do Westpacks. A lot of Asian countries that I visited. And then we did, a lot of... I was on a carrier from one of those, so we did, air missions and stuff like that, but I really didn't have anything to do with that. So
let's talk about your job in the military. What was your primary job in the military?
Oh, it kind of changed. I went from being what the Navy calls it an aviation ordnanceman. So it was like so what we would do is build and maintain all the weapon systems for the aircraft, even small arms too. So I ran the armory for the Nimitz, the USS Nimitz as a carrier for about 2 years, I'd say, a year and a half, 2 years. I ran the armory. I did a lot of small arms stuff. I was an instructor for the small arms and crew serve weapons. And, I went from that and transitioned to much more of an anti-terrorism role with the Navy.
In what ways would you describe the impact of these experiences on your views about life?
There's parts like I miss about the military, and then some of it I don't, obviously.
Tell me more about that.
Like, I don't know, like miss the camaraderie and stuff. I feel like there's, you always miss a lot of the dudes or the people you serve with. Everybody breaks out, they leave, they move, and you always lose touch with them. But, well, at least for me, I should say, maybe not everybody.
Let's talk about reintegration into the civilian life. How would you describe your transition back from civilian life after leaving the military?
It's an interesting time because when I first got out, I ended up working 2 jobs and going to school at the same time. And I was like, man, this is harder than it is being in the military. But I think I was just happy to be able to take on all those challenges, and which I succeeded in. So, I mean, it was a cool outcome.
You mentioned that was a challenge. Okay, so that particular challenge stood up during that period, or were there any other challenges that you experienced?
Well, I had personal challenges, but those went away, I guess. But, I think the biggest ones were just, trying to acclimate to having 2 jobs, having to go to school. You can't just... I mean, honestly, that kind of stuff made military life seem a little easier because you only had to worry about one thing, Oh, and then I was, with those 2 jobs and in school, I was also doing the reserves for those 3 years during that period too. So
sounds like you were pretty busy at that point.
I was busy, yep.
All right. Let's talk about your life post-military service. In what way has the military service shaped your life as far as decisions, perspectives?
I think civilian life is easy. I don't know. I really do. I think the military life, made civilian life easy for me, I guess, especially when dealing with people. Being in the military, you deal with, I shouldn't say deal, but you interact with people of all sizes, shapes, and backgrounds, and ethnicities, and all that good stuff. So you really you can really handle anything. You really can. I guess that's a strength. You can talk to anybody. You can relate to anybody. You can, from all walks of life. So, and what I do now in the civilian world makes my job super, I think it's easier because I'm much more relatable to people of all different walks of life. And I'm not so, I see other people who don't have military experience just do the same situations and make them more complex and difficult when it's just not that. I think it's just sheer, lack of experience with human interaction for a lot of these civilians, and I think the military really breaks that down and way more successful in the sense.
Tell me about your civilian job right now. What do you do for a living?
I've had a few, but yeah, I'm a police officer.
You think the military experience has an application in your daily life and current job?
Oh yeah. I don't think I would be as good as I don't think I'd be good as I am at this job if it wasn't for the military, to be honest with you.
Talking back about the military experience, would you do it again? Would you go back again and enlist and do it all over again if you had the opportunity?
Yeah, I think I would. I know I would. Maybe not as long, and probably do something else. But I mean, that's hindsight, right? That's always the way it is. But yeah, I would still go back.
Would you change anything?
Yeah, I would do something different, career-wise. Even though I've had a very very diverse career. I was all over the place. You know, I was in the Navy, but I spent a lot of time boots on ground, and I spent 6 years of my life out at sea too. So the same thing. I've been around. Let's just say that.
Well, thank you very much for your time. This concludes our interview. Do you have anything additional that you would like to say?
No, I'm good. Thank you for having me.